Hello YouTube, how you doing? It's been a while. Today I thought that I would come back, I'd bring the vlog content back, I would let you into my life, that ever secret aspect of me. Just kidding, if you follow me on Instagram you know that I have a no privacy filter. We pushed up all the way from sort of 200 to 220 pounds since we last did a vlog. We're currently sat at about 220 pounds as you saw in the scale weight. So this is a really good place to start the off-season push, the final off-season push that is, before we look to prep. Now, prep currently is lined up to start around April next year. This is I'm aiming for sort of a summer 2023 show. Finally, I know. This push is going to be probably one of the hardest. So the last blast of the off-season, basically, we hit 226 pounds. We dropped down to 220 to clean things up a little bit. Abs are sort of visible. And then we're going to be pushing up now to 235. That should put us hopefully around 40 pounds over our weight cap, around 35 pounds anyway, over our weight cap, which should allow enough weight loss for prep. You always lose more than you think that you will, so we're better off overestimating and making sure that we're pushing weight as far as possible to get as close to that cap as possible. You know me, I don't see the point really wasting time competing when you have no possibility of winning an overall, or at least being able to show up to nationals if you qualify, right? What's the point in just doing a regional and being like, well, that's all that's in me? I have nothing left. Prep is about 6 months of your bodybuilding journey where you could be growing, where you're wasting it. And in my opinion, it's a great stalling mechanism for people who can't hack the off season. The last blast, my appetite completely went to shit. The reason it went to shit quite simply is because I'd been bulking for a year. And I don't mean like bulking, just eating whatever. I mean like hard bulking, like pushing into new body weight limits and really just consistently being absolutely fucking stuffed to the brim. If there was a week or two went by that I felt comfortable with food, well, that was when we increased food and suddenly you're not comfortable anymore. This does a lot of things to the digestive system, but it also does a lot of things mentally, and I started to begin to try and cheat with food selection. You know, eating more grains, eating more breads, you know, trying to pump things up with fruit juices, and my digestion just went completely to pot. I wasn't absorbing the calories that I was eating, so there was no point eating them in the first place, and we were at about 5,500 by the end of it. So that's a lot of food for somebody who's 5'10 and 220 pounds, right? Too much, you know, you'd say. So this blast, we're approaching things slightly different. We're going to be creeping up food. Currently, I'm only on about 4,000 something calories. We're taking it a bit more steady. The real reason for that, the reason why I believe that I can drop down my calories and still achieve, you know, brand new body weights, is because my body's able to absorb and utilize more of the food. I've had a good like 3 to 4 month rest from food, from pummeling it in. You know, I've taken things a lot more casually. I basically had some downtime in this off season in order to mentally reset. And, you know, sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you just need to understand that backing off is the only approach. There's no more tools left in the toolkit, and you have to give your body a break. And when you have the time to do so, you know, there's nothing better, because you come back remotivated, reinvigorated. You come back wanting to just smash personal best before and your body's ready to do so. So that's basically a recap of this off season. Today's the first day back on the meal plan. Rice-based food, most of it. Going for a meal with a client of mine, sort of a Pan-Asian tapas place. It's pretty damn fancy. I'm seriously happy to be back with the vlogs. Quite simply, a lot is changing in my life in the future. I have a brand new job that I'm starting at the end of the month, which is going to take me all around the world, to Houston, Texas, to Brazil, to New York, to Canada, and I'm really excited to be able to actually meet a lot of my mates who are based over in the US, you know, go out and train with them, pop down to Destination Dallas. You know, there's a lot of exciting things that are coming in the future that I'm going to be able to share with you. So today is a push day. What better way to get started? And I'll be running you guys through my routine and a little bit about the off season. So let's get into it. We're going to make meal 1. Then I'm going to head to the gym. The reason why I'm already wearing the clothes for my lunch is because shirts get creased in the gym. Pro tip: wear the smart clothes to the gym, get changed, and then get changed back into it. Otherwise, it will get creased in your bag after you rind it. So what is meal 1 of the day? Well, it is cream of rice, whey, and loaded peanut butter from Protein Works. This is going to be a really easily digestible pre-workout meal because it's rice-based. You want something that's going to go through your system like that, really. You don't want anything sitting heavy in your stomach, especially during squats, for example. Many a time I felt sick during my workout. That's not what we're after. We're after digestible food so that we can pummel as much into the system as possible through the day. Everyone's got that one bowl they use all the time. I don't know why. Like, I've got about 50. I only ever use one. Cream of rice is done. This is the consistency that I go for. Just, you know, still slightly moist. I don't like that sort of stiff as bricks. Cream of rice, that don't do it for me. So I go for unflavoured cream of rice by Complete Strength. For me, this is a nice cream of rice. It's slightly sweetened, but it doesn't add a flavour. So you're not going to be overwhelmed. You don't have to worry about whether you get a new whey and the flavour doesn't mix. And then I go for Rainbow Cookie Whey by CNP. It's a new one for me. I'm quite liking it, to be honest. You know, it's nice and sweet, not too overwhelming. Again, if you give me 3 months worth of chocolate cream of rice, I'm going to be throwing up by the end of it and I'm not going to want it. Give me something that's adjustable, that's quite, not bland, but a plain flavour. I'm good to go. So I've got 100 grams of cream of rice. Then I'm going to go in with 40 grams of whey. We don't go too much in the first meal of the day because I'm going to be eating this quite close to training, so I don't really want to like log up my digestion system like I mentioned. So you really got to worry about that when it's coming to before training. How close is your pre-training meal to your actual workout? If it's, you know, really close, you might want to go for something a bit smaller and then just sit through an intra during the workout. Or if it's, you know, sort of further away, you can afford to go for a slightly larger meal if you've got maybe an hour and a half to digest. Today, it's not going to be like a perfect full day of eating, right? I'm going to show you what happens when you have a job, when you have to go into fucking London, when you have to travel, when you have life happen, because not everyone's a pro bodybuilder who's sponsored to do this full time. Hence, for example, I picked an Asian tapas place for my client dinner. That's going to be fairly clean. I'm going to be able to get lots of seafood in there. Food out, generally speaking, contains more oil, a bit more fat, stuff like that. So hopefully we'll be about the same calorie level. Then we can go back to normal eating as we come home. And I can share with you an extra special rice recipe, which is going to transform your life, honestly. People out there going, oh, chicken and rice, so bland. You wait, my son. To this, I'm going to add, so this is cookies and cream plunge, loaded nuts by the Protein Works. A little bit more natural than a lot of those sort of protein spreads you get out there. Still add some flavour. It's not really great for protein. It's more so just a nut butter that tastes a bit better. During prep, that was just a godsend. And I've never quite gotten over the addiction. 25 grams in there. And a little bit extra. We can afford to. We're bulking, right? We've had a week of eating barely anything, so we're making up for it. That's the final product. It looks horrible, but it tastes delicious. So I'm going to go eat this and then get the intro ready, which is just going to be 30 grams of cyclic dextrin in the pre-workout, 30 grams in intra. Got a pre-workout, then we got our EAA. We have 15 grams of EAAs during training. And the current pre-workout is Conviction by Conte. It's really, really good, or actually quite high stim, but more high focus nootropic. I find really gets me nice and focused. So alongside meal one, we're also going to have Digest Max by Strom. This just basically gets the digestion moving. It's got fiber, it's got digestive enzymes. It's got pretty much everything that you could need to maintain a healthy gut biome, really important for bulking. I only use a half scoop and that's more than enough for me to mean that I spend half my life in the toilet. So if you want to spend all your life in the toilet, go for a full scoop, but I recommend half to start off with. So you just mix that in with water, drink that immediately because it goes thick as pig shit. Hopefully this Asian tapas will go right through us. So basically what I like to do to start off on push days at the minute is to run through with some assisted tricep dips or, well, chest dips ideally. Looking to lean slightly forward into the movement in order to engage the chest as much as possible. The reason I do assisted is quite simply a lot of people we see will overload this movement. You're not going to be able to be very specific about what you're looking to warm up or engage during that. The reason for most of my first exercises in a workout is just to get things warmed up, blood into the muscle. And to do so, I'm not, for example, looking to exhaust or fatigue the triceps or the shoulders. I'm looking to really engage the chest in particular and just get that working. I like to do this before a pressing movement, simply for injury reduction. I've had elbow pain I've had wrist pain, I've had issues in my shoulders before when I've gone for heavy pressing too early. So I find that just starting off with one warm-up movement just helps to get things primed and ready. So it's up to you really what you choose. You can do a pec deck, you can do a light cable fly for this, but personally I like the assisted dips, just because it's not something that I really fancy doing later on in the workout. However, when you're doing a push day, which is, you know, chest, shoulders and triceps, it does tend to get blood into all of them. So pretty much whatever you choose to run into after that, whether it's a shoulder press, whether it's a chest press, or a bench, whatever the case, you're going to be ready.
I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.
So in case you haven't gathered, the way that I like to run training is that it's fairly close to Jordan Peters style training. We're going to have a slow warm up, maybe a first warm up set of around 6 reps. Easy work, lightweight, just to get the blood into the muscle. Then we go with sort of singular feeder sets. So they're just going to be in increments up to what we want our working set value to be. It helps me to assess the level of strain. It also helps to sort of prime the joints for the movement. When you get up to that top set, we don't obviously want to be jumping from, say, a 1 plate per side bench for a warm-up of 10 to 12 reps, all the way straight to a 2.5, 3 plate a side bench for the same. That's just going to cause havoc. And then when we get into the working sets, generally speaking, I tend to run 1 or 2 sort of working sets and then 1 back off. So the first set is going to be 2 failure, absolute heaviest weight, usually between 6 to 10 reps. This is going to be the one where we're going for the real strength progression. And then we might follow on with another set, either a similar weight or a slightly higher weight increment if we feel particularly strong. Some days you come in, you go for a PB, feels like butter, so you decide to add a kilo either side, just to watch yourself completely fail on a single rep. But then we launch into a back off, and the reason for the back offs quite simply again is injury prevention in order to maximize hypertrophy as well. You know, when we go for these top sets, we obviously want to engage progressive overload through weight progression, but another way to do that is through volume. And if you don't have enough volume throughout your sessions, it can start to be a real issue. So for example, if I'm not hitting say 10 reps on my first working set, my heavy set, generally speaking, I'll then go in with a back off, try and hit 10 to 15 reps on that, just in order to sort of maximize the volume side of things throughout the workout. This is an easy way to squeeze more volume into your session, and generally speaking, after an all-out heavy set, you're probably not going to be able to go with the same weight again for the same reps, and if you are, then you're not hitting failure. Hate to break it to you kids, but we're launching into the back off here. Generally speaking, I take 20% of the weight off for a back off, so we add 50 kilos either side, take off 10 kilos either side, and that would do it. That set quite effectively demonstrated the problem with not allowing enough time for rest and recovery. Usually in a top set, especially in my primary compound movement, we're going to allow up to 5 minutes to prepare for the movement. Your maximum intensity, you want to be able to, obviously best your last week's results, and that also involves, matching your rest periods. There's no use trying to chase a PB if you're going to allow yourself half the time that you did last time to rest. You're not going to have the strength and the energy there to do so. So this is a condensed session. The way that I structure my push day, because I'm prioritizing really the shoulders and arm development, is to do a shoulder movement first before we jump then into a chest compound. This being because we want the minimal fatigue when we're entering the shoulder movement to allow for maximum hypertrophy and results coming from that movement. So, maximize your performance on the body part that you're looking to grow the most. This basically kicked my ass just now, so I'm going to back off and try and get the right amount of reps in on the back off set. Just really make up for the fact that we only hit a 5 rep top set. It's not what we want 6 to 10. And I know that it's much of a muchness, what's 5 versus 6. I still reached failure, but it wasn't true failure because I didn't allow myself enough time to prime for the movement. So we'll launch into this, hopefully get somewhere above 10 reps at least with 2 plates. Should be minimum we're capable of doing. And then that should do it for the compound movements. We'll move then on to an isolated upper chest movement, do some laterals, and then if we have time, we'll do some tricep work. But because we have a dedicated arm day, I'm not too fussed about missing arms on these movements when we're really crunched for time. You can always tag on to legs anyway. It's an easy win there because your upper body's not getting any engagement on leg day. So you can always squeeze in some tricep push downs.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with it who line for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust it. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bucket. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune. I'm flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why is you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I don't know if you thinking I'm blind. Cross on my crosses and dot on my eyes. Done with your efforts, I'm dealing with pressures. I know it's a lesson, that's word of the wise. Dubbing the mixes I'm mixing, I know I've been missing. I needed some personal time. All the pictures, dimensions, I don't with your digits. I mean it, I'm staying inside. Cause they got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back.
I told you this is going to be a real world, actual working human day in the life / full day of eating. We don't have enough time to go grab a meal deal. So what I'm going to do is we're going to catch the train into London, and then we'll have the lunch. We'll see how hungry we are afterwards, but I'll probably then pick up a protein shake as well. Make sure that protein's there. And this is one of the key things that I say, if you're on the go and you're wondering what to pick up, you know, you're trying to worry about macros, think about protein first, because protein is generally speaking the hardest to come by in the wild. You know, when you're out and about trying to get a healthy lunch, that's the bit that you're going to be missing out on. So, you know, so as much as you can focus your diet earlier on in the day on protein, the less you have to worry about it later, the more you can fill yourself up with carbs, which are easier to get your hands on. Now, people often fret about the anabolic window. Is it real? Is it a myth? How long is it? Well, the anabolic window, realistically, lasts fucking hours. As long as you get adequate nutrition before, in, and intra-training, you don't need to worry too heavily about post-training. If it's an hour, even if it's 2 hours, you'll be absolutely fine. The only caveat to this is, for example, if you're utilizing something like insulin, where you need to worry about carbohydrate intake and nutrient timing much more. But otherwise, unless you're going hypo, which is something that I have experienced once or twice, and that only takes, say, 20, 30 grams of carbs to get out of, then you'll probably be good for a couple of hours or so. So it takes about 40 minutes to get into London. There'll be about another half an hour until the second meal, which should put us up there on track. And then we'll catch up throughout the rest of the day as we get home and prep our extra special rice. Now, if I was out for a whole day versus just for a lunch, I'd of course pack a couple of meals, usually keep it as plain as possible, chicken, rice, that kind of thing. But because we're only out for a short time, we don't really need to worry about preparation quite as much. Down, focus mainly on the sushi, on the sashimi, the fresh fish. Really good clean food, to be honest. I'd estimate around 1,500 calories including dessert, because we're on the off season and we're worth it. We just had a week off calories, so you know we've got a lot of making up to do. But we're just heading back to Red Hill now. We get back on the regular meal plan, cook up some rice, cook up some chicken, get back to boring bodybuilding foods. You know, especially when you're going to treat yourself and have a meal out, you want to make sure that the rest of your day is on point. A lot of people can let that spiral, let that become, you know, a full day of cheating, and that's where you end up with problems, water retention, and you end up not being able to really accurately track your calories throughout the day. So we are going back to boredom. But good day out, generally speaking. We're probably at about 2,500 calories, maybe slightly more at this stage. So we've got about another 1,500, 1,700 to go. I'm sure we can manage it. What do you reckon? Meals 4 and 5 are going to be really, really simple. They're the final 2 meals of the day. Quite simply, usually these would be earlier on in the day. I like to get my clean food in early as possible because sometimes I feel lazy in the evening, so it gives me some flexibility. But in this case, we've had a bumper lunch, so I have no excuse. This is my posh chicken and rice. This is going to be the saviour of your off season, so that when you're eating so much of it you feel sick, you still want to go back for more, and for prep to inject some flavour into that food, into that 5 grams of rice that you're allowed. First of all, shallots. These are basically small, really, really intense onions. You'll need a couple of these. These are for flavour, a little bit of texture. That's pretty much it, just so it's not so homogenous. Then I'm going to want you to grab a couple of cloves of garlic, just a couple, just to taste. Like as you go on, you can decide how much you add into this recipe. Some people like more, some people like less, but because of the fact that I use a garlic seasoning as well, I try not to go too intense on that. So you're just going to want to finely chop your shallots. So I'm going to want you to get a large pan. You're going to put it on the hob because where else do pans go? You're going to take your spray oil, which makes you feel better about adding exactly the same amount of calories to every single dish. Do not heat the pan up before you add your shallots and garlic. This is really important. You can burn garlic really, really easily. You're just going to pour all of these into here while it's cold, okay? 2 shallots, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 and 2. Are you following? I should hope so. And you're simply going to fry these off until the shallots start to go clear. You don't want the garlic to look, overdone in any way. You literally just want to cook this slightly through. Now, in terms of herbs and spices, this is completely up to you. You really don't have to add anything to this. The real flavour addition comes slightly later. The only things that are vital to add to this dish are saffron. Now, you can get this online. I highly recommend reading reviews where they try and test for fake stuff. Quite simply, if you put it in hot water, if it turns clear, it means it's fake. This is not, I've tried this, it keeps its colour. Saffron is expensive. It's more expensive than gold per gram. However, you only need a couple of strands of this stuff in any meal in order to add the taste and flavour of the gods. This stuff is what they use in paella in order to add the colour and flavour. Then I add a bit of turmeric, because I'm not made of money. I don't use all the saffron that I would like. And then we've got some salt. So we're going to fry this off in here. And I'll catch up with you when we add the fun stuff. Right, so no time at all. This is already starting to clarify. So down on the heat. Now I'm going to add my herbs and spices. So I'm just going to add some mixed herbs. That'll do. Some pepper and garlic steak seasoning. That'll do. A little bit too much. A little bit of salt. That'll do. And the turmeric. We're going to add that in there. Now we're going to wait on the saffron. Don't add that in just yet. Another key ingredient to this is vegetable stock. The reason being for vegetable stock is it adds a hell of a lot of flavour. Basically no calories. It is salt, but it reduces the need to season. But it's honestly a lovely addition to all of your rice-based dishes. It makes it almost like a risotto. And then we're going in with our rice. So for rice, I'm doing 100 grams per meal at the moment. I pretty much know that this is 200 grams, so straight in, full cup, 200 grams. Into the pan, dry. Now the reason for this is because I want to fry it off in the spices slightly. We're not going to do this for too long, I just want to colour the rice. Like you can see here, that as you stir in with the turmeric and everything, the rice will start to go a little bit yellow. Now we're going to add the water and then we go in with our saffron. So take literally, so you can see here, this is how much you get for like £5. It's about half a gram. I know, a lot of you guys are going, half a gram for a £5, that's cheap. Literally a few strands. I'm going to go in with about maybe 4 or 5. That is basically everything. So all you're doing is frying off some shallots, some garlic. You're then going to put some spices and stock in the dry pan with some rice, add the water, add the saffron, and that's it. So the only thing you need to add to this is squeeze out a whole lemon over it when the rice is pretty much dry, just to add that zest and flavour and zing to it, and you'll be done. Flavoursome chicken and rice for the whole day. I could eat this for months on end and not get tired of it. Although catch up with me in a month and we'll see if that's still true. But you do not need to eat bland food if you're a bodybuilder. You also don't have to meal prep if you're going out. You just have to make wise choices, like an Asian restaurant versus a steak restaurant, in order to have clean, lean options instead of only having the option for steak, which can get either very expensive or very fatty. So this is the day pretty much in my life. This is how the off season's looking. If you want to see more training, you want to see more about my supplements, my cycle, just let me know. We'll bring you more vlog content as life gets a bit funner. Maybe we'll take a trip back to Kings, but we'll definitely be taking international trips and going fun places very, very soon. Thanks very much for watching. Click like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.